Pimp My Ride was peak 2000s TV, and I honestly loved it. I think I was their exact target audience. The first Fast and the Furious movie had come out just a few years earlier, and Too Fast, Too Furious and the underrated Tokyo Drift came out while it was still airing. Even though I was too young to drive, I still loved cars, and I didn't really know much about them. All I knew is I wanted a bright neon car with big rims and a massive spoiler. I thought these people on the show who got their cars pimped were the luckiest people in the world. But looking back on it, I kind of changed my mind. After I covered MTV's Punk, people have been asking me to cover this show. And by people, I mean one person. Well, what they actually said was, cover Pimp My Ride. So this one's for you. If you're only vaguely aware of what this show is, I'll give you a quick refresh. Basically, our main man Exhibit here finds one lucky person whose car is a complete mess and brings it back to a shop called West Coast Customs to pimp it out. I really just picked a random episode here to rewatch, and I think I hit the jackpot. See what I did there? No? You'll get that joke later and you'll laugh so hard. But for real, this is one of the most ridiculous episodes I've ever seen. They somehow managed to take a bad car and make it even worse and less practical. Our lucky contestant here is Robert, and he owns a 1984 Chevrolet van that apparently his grandma won in a Vegas slot machine, which is pretty cool.
She put $7 into a slot machine, and out came a van.
And as you can see, it's seen better days. I bet in the 80s this was like the coolest van ever, and honestly I wouldn't have mind driving it back then. Let's see what Robert has to say about it.
These stains came from my dog Pooh Bear, who lived up to his name and left poo stains all over my van. I tried everything to clean it up.
Really? You've tried everything? I've owned several dogs in my lifetime, and many of them have had accidents on carpets, and I've always been able to clean it up. I really don't think you even tried. You can get one of those carpet cleaners. Maybe that's out of your budget, but fine, you can just get a bottle of cleaner and spray it and then scrub it with a brush. It'll work. That's basically what those carpet cleaners do.
It's like I got the engine sitting right in my lap. I gotta deal with exhaust fumes. Sometimes I need a gas mask just to drive this thing.
Okay, that explains why you couldn't figure out how to get the stains out of the carpet. You've been breathing in carbon monoxide every time you drive your car. Your frontal lobe's been rotting away.
When it comes to my van, what happened in Vegas should have stayed in Vegas.
I feel like that line was fed to him by the writers. Not that it's particularly clever, it just doesn't seem like something he would come up with.
Spent a lot of my free time volunteering for a kids music program.
That's actually really nice of him. So he likes music. Maybe they'll do some sort of music related theme to his van to help him out with his volunteering. If you don't remember, that's one of the things they always do. They take something that the contestant likes and then incorporate it into the theme of the car makeover.
I would never sell my van. It's a piece of my family history that I would just, you can't put a price on it.
I get that. I have a 2006 manual Mustang GT that's pretty unpractical, but I would never want to sell it. One of my favorite parts of the show was when Exhibit would show up and just rip apart the cars and talk shit about the owner.
And it has a really nasty look to it.
I didn't even think about this as a kid, but this is so obviously staged. They got a whole camera crew on the front lawn of this man's house, and they gotta act like he wouldn't see them.
What's up, boss? You good?
Beautiful, man.
Hey, Rod, you good, man?
Let's give Robert an Oscar for that fake reaction. He's definitely been practicing that.
The fumes and the heat and everything that come off the engine.
That's what this is for right here.
I hope that's the right kind of mask. Not all of them filter out carbon monoxide. I can't tell at a glance, but I bet if he drove with those windows closed, he'd pass out. Exhibit here is asking the big questions in life.
You think your grandparents do it?
I'm actually surprised he got in that van. I bet it smells like complete ass. There's also what may be human bones in his car. I'm a little worried that they're letting this guy volunteer around kids. Best case scenario, he just has rotting animals in his car that he didn't notice. And worst case scenario, he does that thing that Jeffrey Dahmer does. Now we're at the part where Exhibit drives it off to West Coast Customs. And I hope this part is just for the show, in that the second they get around the corner, they throw it on the back of a tow truck, because I don't think that thing is safe to drive for more than a few minutes, even with the mask on. Imagine getting into an accident with those fuel lines popping off, spraying gas all over your face with a 1,000-degree exhaust pipe right next to it. Exhibit was lucky to get out of this one alive. Here's the part where the crew gets together to come up with a game plan, and as a kid I thought these were the coolest guys on the planet, and I stand by that, and you can't convince me otherwise. Just look at that guy's hair, and he's got the tattoos. Damn, he was cool. So they decided to go with a casino themed van. Makes sense, right? The van was one in Vegas. but usually they go with something that the person is interested in. And I had to go back and look, but I noticed he didn't say anything about liking gambling or casinos or Vegas at all. It just happens that the van was won there by his grandma. Why not go with a music theme? He specifically mentioned that he volunteers to help kids learn music. They're usually bad about these themes, but this is possibly the worst one I've ever seen. And it just keeps getting worse when you see just how impractical the final design is. And when you think about it for more than a second, you'll realize just how inconvenient everything on it is. So we're starting off here with a paint job, and we're going with black and gold. And I gotta say, I don't hate it. I like tacky paint jobs, and if you already have a crappy old van, why not just go all out with a crazy paint job? It kind of fits. I don't think I would do that to my car personally, but at least it's different from all the gray, black, and white cars you see all over the road. I'll get to this more later, but this has to be the worst thing I've ever seen them do on this show. It's so bad, I would absolutely hate having this on my car.
There's an old saying in the hood, when you're doing a gold Vegas themed van, you gotta have some 14 karat gold amps to go with it.
Is that really a saying? Is that really something they say in the hood? That's a very specific saying. This is kind of embarrassing, but I actually had a minivan in high school, and I had what was called an MTX sledgehammer subwoofer in it. Now, mind you that this was a Dodge Caravan, not even like a cool van. This was a soccer mom van. And when I turned that thing on, the whole thing shook like crazy. You could hear it rattling from a mile away. But I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and it kind of was. Having any car in high school was awesome. I could load up 7 friends in that thing, and it was amazing.
I'm adding a top-of-the-line electronic keyboard. Now that's music to my ears.
Okay, so we got at least one music-related thing here. They built a roulette table into a piano, and they even brought in Wayne Newton to approve of it. Weird choice, since the show is targeted towards younger people who, including myself, wouldn't have any idea who Wayne Newton was. If you still don't get it, he's a famous singer who worked a lot of shows in Vegas. Now we get to the climax of the show. It's the big reveal. It's time we bring Robert in and show him his new pimped out car. I'm going to show you this monstrosity now, but afterwards I'm going to tell you everything I would do to try to fix it and salvage that car. Hey wait, that's my car in the back. Look, right there, Mustang GT. Honestly, it seems a little out of place next to those supercars, but that's pretty cool. All right, let's see what they've done to it. What the hell is even that?
What the hell is even that? We hooked you up with the real deal right out of this exhaust.
What is that even for? When are you ever going to use that? It looks much less cool when you have to go sit there afterwards and pick up 52 cards and I assume reload it somehow. He's going to show this to his friends once and then never use it again unless he hits it by accident while driving, and then it's just littering. And don't litter. It's not good. See, this is why we have to use paper straws now, because people did stupid stuff like that in the 2000s. Now for the piece de resistance, the highlight of the whole car and the worst thing they've ever done on Pimp My Ride.
Hey, Robert. Try to open the door.
Slot.
Don't open, huh?
No.
The most inconvenient slot machine on the planet.
Handle.
All right.
Let's go.
Yes! Yes! Woo! Now try to open the door.
So now every time you want to get into the car, you have to pull the slot machine and hope it lands on jackpot. I really do hope it's programmed to land on jackpot every time, and you're not just sitting there randomly pulling it till you hit one. And it also looks like coins drop down into the slot as well. So what do you have to do? Pick it up every time and put them back in the machine for the next time? Imagine if this thing breaks down. It has to be a wiring nightmare back there. Imagine rolling up to just a regular shop and showing them this and telling them your locks are broken. I wonder how much that's going to cost to fix. And I don't think this guy has a lot of money anyways. He'll have to sell his wheels to fix this car if it breaks down. After 1 week with this thing, you're going to be so over it. Imagine doing any menial task like carrying groceries in the van and just loading it up, taking your friends somewhere. You get into the front seat and you just got to wait a minute for your friends to hop in. Like, this is just, it would be so annoying. Also, what's powering that thing? Is it just running off your car battery? Like, in order to get in, you're going to have to just have it running all the time. So when you go to start your car, it's going to be dead. And the worst part is, once you open it, you're just going to be disappointed because this is what you're greeted with. You've got this crappy little piano that opens up into a roulette machine. You have craps table on your floor that you have to awkwardly sit on this chair because otherwise your feet are in the way. The best thing about a van is the storage and seating space, and you just ruined all of that. So now you're just driving around in a gas guzzler that's a 4-seater. Unless someone wants to sit in that piano chair, but I don't think that'll pass the safety inspection. They did give him at least one practical thing. He has a security cameras, which is pretty great for 2007. To cap it all off, Exhibit had those animal bones that were found earlier gold plated and put on a chain so he can wear it around his neck. And Robert just has to sit there and awkwardly take it and pretend he's excited about it. So there's Robert's super impractical van, but I think it's salvageable with a few tweaks and could actually be a decent car. First off, you're gonna pull out that stupid piano roulette table and you're just gonna rip out that keyboard and use it in your studio since you're into music, so you got that. You can take the rest of that and throw into like a games room where you now have a roulette table. Also, you're gonna pull out that slot machine TV and put that in your new games room. But leave the plexiglass window in the car, so now you've got a new window where you didn't have one before, so you got that. That stupid card shooting machine, you're just never going to use that. I mean, you can just disconnect that. Leave those dash cams in place because that's pretty useful. One good thing they did do is cover that exposed engine, so now you're not going to pass away from carbon monoxide poisoning. Without that piano table in the middle, you can just add back that extra row of seats, making things a little more practical, or just leave it open for cargo space. Ideally, you could just take that back row and move it forward, so now you can load stuff in through the back doors. Now, it's notorious that they don't do anything to fix the engine, so you just have to pray that it keeps working. But at least you got some new tires and wheels, so you got that going for you. After all that, then you got a decent practical car. Oh, last thing, throw out that stupid gold-plated bone because that's something a serial killer would wear. Actually, more like Lil Jon, so that kind of works for the time. Now we get his friend's over-the-top reaction, and then they awkwardly talk to the camera.
I take all your money.
Now just look how impractical that thing is. They just have to awkwardly squat there because it's too short to stand up in. And that'll be the end of the show. And if you want me to cover more TV shows, just let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.